Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. Oh my goodness. I hope everybody's having a great weekend. It is Sunday. Actually, I finally have a day that's off, but we've got the honey-do list to take care of. Need to go grocery shopping. Ended up helping my good buddy Alan yesterday, getting some stuff squared away for a church and things. And I want to say, man, you know, the shootings and the killings, unfortunately, in the world today, you cannot have a conversation. If somebody does not agree with you, with your point of view, they don't even want to listen. They just don't. And it's hard because there's things you want to say, but you can't say. It is a travesty. I'm not going to get into whether or not people should own guns and things like that. That's a bigger discussion all the way around. I don't think people should be able to park an M1 tank in front of their house and say it's for defense of their home and stuff, but be that as it may. My point in this is we have to stop hating and getting so angry about everything. I don't care what your political view, your point of view is on things. What's happening with these mass shootings where people are being killed indiscriminately that people don't even know who they are. There were kids last night. Unfortunately, these things are growing bigger and bigger, and you're seeing more and more of it to the point where we're beginning to get numb. We don't get through one mass shooting and people being killed and understand what city that was to the next day it's another one. You know, it used to be crazy because I remember back in the 80s and the 90s when I was growing up, we would look at the Middle East and we would see the people going in with the bombs strapped to their chest. Fanatics that were just killing people indiscriminately. And we used to talk about how these people, how could this happen? How could people be so callous to do these things? And here we are doing the same thing, same game, different weapons. I don't know what's going on in the world. There's so much hate and animosity. And it's just building up and building up and building up. Even with me, just sitting here, a person who loves his Dallas Cowboys. I promote my Dallas Cowboys. I feel good about my Dallas Cowboys. I live and die with the ups and downs of the Dallas Cowboys. And people will hate me because of my views and my desire, which is doing nothing to hurt them, for the Dallas Cowboys. You know, the home of the free and the brave, we're supposed to be able to be free to have our own point of views. We're supposed to be free to have things that we enjoy. The reason the founding fathers left Europe and came here and became an independent country was because of religious persecution, that people were telling them how they had to live and how they had to do everything. And we're becoming that again, where people just want to do what they want to do. That really isn't necessarily hurting anybody else, but people want to hate it and so on. My plea, and I know I have no power, my plea is stop hating. Be tolerant. Get to know other people. Get out of your comfort zone. Because there's enough people out there countries and people out there that hate us. We don't need to do their work for them in destroying ourselves. It's sad. But I'm sure what happened yesterday will be forgotten today or tomorrow, because there'll be another one. And, understand that when I talk about the Eagles and things, Philly 500 and myself, it's not out of hate. It's out of fun. It's just YouTube. Don't take it so seriously. Don't take it so seriously. When I grew up, the thing that I loved so much with my dad and my uncles and my dad's friends and stuff were, my dad was the Cowboy fan. All the rest of them were Washington fans, and that was the great rivalry between, George Allen and Tom Landry. George Allen would literally want to go to midfield and fight Tom Landry. If he could have solved the game that way, he would have done that. But the fun part of football, beyond just the game, was the buildup, the trash talk, and being able to ride the other guy when they lost. It wasn't about hating them. It was about getting yours. Hey, we're better than you. And for most of the Eagle fans, yeah, that's what we got. But there's some of you out there that just take things a little too far. It's crazy because the people who claim to hate you the most are the ones that are watching you the most and know more about you than anybody else. Life is short. Life is precious. If you truly hate something, why do you waste your time doing that? Wouldn't it be better to do something that you enjoy? I'm sorry, I hadn't planned on going through this emotional rant this morning, but seeing some of the pictures of the people that have been shot, it's just too much. And seeing some of the things that people have sent me and things that are kind of make you think. We are in May. We have OTAs going on. We are not far away from practices. We're a little over 2 months away from minicamp. We're not far away from the season. And we have to feel better about our team this year than last year. But I'm going to pose a question. Now, here's an interesting take, because yesterday it was Zeke Elliott. We heard Jeremy Fowler say that, that it's still on the table. And I say everything is always on the table. It just is. There's always things that you may decide to do. We heard Emmitt Smith, who's going to bat for Zeke Elliott, and saying we got to bring him back. But I heard something interesting where they're talking about Deuce Vaughn. Hey, Wild Thing, bring in Wild Thing. That he may become the third down back, that they're looking for him to be the third down back, which is interesting because kind of more than anything, the Cowboys were doing kind of a rotation. They would do, some series with Zeke Elliott, then they'd do some series with Tony Pollard, and so on. And they would rotate back and forth. But now we're hearing that Vaughn could be the third down back. So if he's the third down back, then that means that Tony Pollard, who you're paying $10 million to, is your lead back, first and second down. So if he is the lead back and you've got Ronald Jones and so forth that are in the mix, maybe Ronald Jones doesn't make the roster, I don't know. I don't see where there's room for Zeke Elliott to be on here. Now, here's the question, because last year we thought, the Joneses thought addition by subtraction was the way to go. We ended up getting rid of Amari Cooper. We end up getting rid of Lyle Collins. We end up getting rid of Connor Williams and Randy Gregory, El Paso, and things. The question is, because you ended up getting rid of one of your big playmakers and also Cedric Wilson. One of your big playmakers that destroyed us. Most of the things that we did last year didn't really hurt as much as getting rid of Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's production was truly missed. CeeDee Lamb had a great year. But you missed, it was literally a hole. Because here's what's crazy. Because between CeeDee Lamb and between CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, if you take those two out of the equation, everybody else put together was 604 yards of production. 604 yards of production. 61 receptions and 3 touchdowns. And 84% of that was Noah Brown. For us to go through and literally destroy our wide receiver room and say, we're okay with the guys that we have. We're okay with those guys taking up the slack for Amari Cooper. It was a big mistake. And I'll give you a perfect example, because here's what's crazy. Cedric Wilson alone the year before had 602 yards, 6 TDs, and averaged 13.4 yards per reception on 45 receptions. He had 61 targets, 45 receptions, a yard more than every other receiver, not Michael Gallup or CeeDee Lamb, on the Cowboys roster. That lets you know how far we dropped in production at wide receiver. Now, you can blame Dak Prescott if you want to, but sorry. Between James Washington, who could never get healthy, between Noah Brown, Semi Fioco, and I can't even remember who else. They weren't even notable. The production just wasn't there. Now, we've done some things. Michael Gallup is healthier, which will be an improvement. CeeDee Lamb has taken a big step, and having Brandon Cooks, who's a veteran, will help that receiver core. That's already a major improvement. Having Mike McCarthy calling the plays, that it's a different offense, it'll be a different look, where teams can't say, we'll just look at what they did last year and we'll know what they're going to do. They're going to have to dig back through older Mike McCarthy stuff from years ago, and he's going to tweak it with some of the stuff that we did good, as well as some of the stuff we like to keep, as well as what Mike McCarthy likes to do. So that will be better. But the question will be is getting rid of your second leading rusher, who, when you look at it, Amari Cooper was your second leading receiver. Is that going to have the same effect that Amari Cooper going away has? Apparently, Emmitt Smith thinks so, which is why he's going all in to say you need to bring that guy back. But I think the problem with bringing back Zeke Elliott is we're going to be doing things differently than what we were doing before. You're going to see a more dynamic, in-space running game. You're probably going to see more pitches on the outside. You're going to see more screen passes. Because the idea and the concept with this offense is you want to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands fast, and you want to get it into the playmakers' hands where they can get yards after completion. You want to get them in space. You want fast guys to be able to move when they get the ball. And I'm not sure that that's Zeke Elliott. And the thing about us as Cowboy fans, it's hard for us to let players go. We always feel like we can't live without that guy. And we always hold on to the players too long. We look at other teams that have been successful, that don't hold on to those players, that don't necessarily give out the big, huge contracts. The New England Patriots forever would win the Super Bowl and turn over the roster and get rid of a third of the people. To bring in the new blood, to bring in and let guys get new contracts and get paid elsewhere, and bring in compensatory picks and be able to say to people, hey, you come in here, we will rejuvenate your career so you get paid elsewhere. You'll get a chance to get a ring, and you can move on. And that's where the Cowboys are trying to get to right now. Now, the question here is something I saw that was also interesting is Kyle Brandt on NFL Network, typical Dallas Cowboy hater. He was doing the tiers of quarterbacks, and he has, for the NFC, Jalen Hurts, numero uno, by himself. That Jalen Hurts is the bomb diggity, now the best quarterback in the NFC. Tier 2 had Dak Prescott and, I'm trying to remember, did I screenshot it? Had Dak Prescott in the second position. Let's see. Along with Matthew Stafford and Kirk Cousins. Tier 3 was Derek Carr, Jared Goff, and Geno Smith. Giant fans will have a problem with this because they think that Daniel Jones is the best quarterback in the NFC. But they got Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, and Kyler Murray. Tier 5 would be Baker Mayfield and Brock Purdy. Tier 6 would be Jordan Love, Ryder, and Sam Howell. And Tier 7 would be Young. So, interesting take that Dak Prescott at least is the second best quarterback in the NFC. Now, the AFC, that's a whole different ball of wax because it seems like that's the Wild West where all the quarterbacks are looking for gold. But that's kind of interesting. And we'll see how all that works out. Now, of course, we have the Philadelphia Eagles as the bomb diggity, okay? Everybody has the Eagles as the gold standard. And what I love about that is typically when they pick a team to be the bomb diggity, last year it was the Buffalo Bills. They usually don't pan out the way they forecast. They don't. Let's get a little bit of get up this morning as we get ready to get out of here.
Coming off the draft weekend, and so Orlovsky is going to give us 3 draft headlines from the weekend gone by. Danny, take it.
Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are giant winners and legit Super Bowl contenders. It starts with a new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. That's going to be great for Lamar. They're going to spread teams out. Number 2, they get Zay Flowers. The reality of OBJ, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, and then Zay Flowers, who's a vertical threat. He's going to allow Lamar and the big arm to be a part of that offense, get the ball in his hands. This is going to be a completely different offensive football team that we've ever seen with Lamar in Baltimore. Number 2, the Chicago Bears are coming. And shout out to their general manager, Ryan Poles. In a year, he has taken what I would have said was the worst situation for a quarterback to be in and made it much more solid. Their offensive line was terrible. Now they drafted Darnell Wright. That's going to solidify that. They've brought in Nate Davis. I love the addition of some of the perimeter players. Don't forget, DJ Moore was essentially part of this draft day as well. So Justin Fields is going to have the opportunity to stride. The Detroit Lions. Everyone is going to crown the Philadelphia Eagles as the best team in the NFC and then likely the 49ers. I would say that the Lions were big winners of the draft, and it's an unconventional way. Stop calling Jahmyr Gibbs a running back. They are going to use him like Deebo Samuel. They are going to use him like Percy Harvin. They solidified some of the needs that they had in their football team. I love Sam Laporta, the tight end they got out of Iowa in the second round. This is a team that won 8 out of their final 10 games, and if you asked me who I thought would be the biggest threat to Philadelphia and a bona fide NFC Championship contender, it is the Detroit Lions because of the draft that they had.
I can tell you that Louis Riddick agrees. Louis Riddick said exactly the same thing on our telecast.
Cowboys
get
no
he thinks they will
love.
be an NFC Championship contender. A lot of people raised their eyebrows at the Lions draft, and I can see Graziano doing it over here as well. It was unconventional, and I think that's a good way to put it. In the meantime, I don't know how we've come this far without my showing you this. Aaron Rodgers was here in town this weekend, and to call it a delight would be the understatement of the century.
Well, we're going to go ahead and end it on that one. So there we are, good people. Will the Dallas Cowboys regret letting go Zeke Elliott? Time will tell. Time will tell. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And we've got our live stream at 5 o'clock Eastern, and I've got a lot of work to do between now and then. It's already 10:30. Oh, my goodness.
Our coach here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to